The aviation industry never sleeps, and it's time for another one of my aviation news recaps, taking a look at multiple stories, all condensed into the one video for your screens. Today, there's coverage on Emirates' undelivered Airbus A350, an order for Boeing aircraft, problems at Wizz Air, and more. So without further ado, let me get right underway with probably the most intriguing story, and that is the Airbus A350 at Emirates. A reminder that this is currently undelivered. They are awaiting delivery, but that doesn't mean that they're not planning for the aircraft. They have revealed what they hope to be the first route that the A350 series will be deployed on. The Dubai-based airline, just for some clarity, will acquire its first A350 next year as part of a commitment to fleet renewal and growth. With an expected arrival date of around the summer of 2024, Emirates will want to deploy the aircraft on services through to Adelaide in Australia. Emirates cancelled its Adelaide operation, as you may recall, in the early stages of 2020, citing the pandemic as a key reason for this. However, it is yet to resume the service as part of its commitment to Australia, and with that only increasing, there are of course discussions over how Adelaide can return. These very discussions are reportedly ongoing between Emirates and Adelaide Airport about debuting the A350 series to the city once delivered. These talks are positive, and the airline is very much excited about a potential return that's been a long time in the making. Emirates says that acquiring the A350 will substantially help facilitate further expansion and free up more aircraft, alongside more opportunities for its international network, whether that be new routes and returning cities, whether that be more cities in Australia being focused in on, like a rumoured Darwin, or potentially services to other destinations around the world that do not have an Emirates presence and maybe can't facilitate a 777 or A380. 50 Airbus A350s remain on order as part of Emirates' commitment to the series. However, many of course are curious about how these will eventually work. On to the next topic of today, and that is another order for Boeing. Again, I kinda jinxed myself and said that it had been a quiet couple of weeks in relation to orders. Well, that's certainly ramped up at the beginning of September, with a new order being announced from SMBC Aviation Capital, who have committed to 25 of the 737-8s. With this order, SMBC Aviation Capital, as an aircraft lessor, is looking towards increasing its portfolio with Boeing and subsequent backlog. That now sees a tally of 81 737 MAX jets. Thus far in 2023, Boeing says that it has secured more than 400 commitments for the MAX. However, persistent niggles with the program and potential production and deliveries have seen grey clouds hover above it. And while the orders are fantastic, no doubt the American plane maker will really want to try and ease pressures felt on the production and delivery side of things, communicating with supply chains and sorting all that out. Customers of the SMBC Aviation Capital have expressed strong desires for an aircraft like the 737 MAX, and the order announced in the past day is a direct response to that desire. Additionally, as SMBC fights to position itself as a leader in the market and looks towards anticipating future growth, this deal should only aid them further. Stan Deal, who is the president and CEO of Boeing Commercial Airplanes, noted that the 737-8's versatility means that customers continue to come back. Pair that with unrivaled fuel efficiency, it makes for an excellent choice in the leasing community. And it certainly answers potentially those question marks from 2019 and 2020 over whether, because the 737 MAX was involved in such a crisis, it would be able to return to the industry and still receive orders. You could definitely say that it has done that, and probably exceeded expectations. Moving across to Europe, and with major carrier Wizz Air, they've unveiled themselves as being the latest victim of the ongoing Pratt & Whitney engine crisis that is impacting many airlines right around the world. The European low-cost powerhouse noted that thanks to the ongoing inspections for Pratt & Whitney turbofan engines, it will be forced to reduce its capacity by potentially up to 10% well into 2024. Wizz Air is ultimately not the only carrier that the engine crisis has negatively impacted. However, they are arguably one of the more substantially hit, and this is just thanks to their sheer commitment to aircraft that are powered, unfortunately you could say, by this engine. RTX, a supplier, released a statement highlighting that 600 to 700 engine units would be removed for quality checks between 2023 and 2026, estimating that hundreds of aircraft per year would therefore be impacted. Air New Zealand also most recently cited the ongoing Pratt & Whitney crisis as a reason why they'll be forced to adjust their schedule to factor in problems with the A320neo and A321neo that they fly respectively. Capacity growth is expected to drop from 30% to 25% as Wizz Air finds ways to navigate a problem that is impacting a significant portion of their fleet. While Pratt & Whitney have certainly been front and center in relation to the ongoing engine crisis, they are just one of the many companies within the industry that has faced struggles since the pandemic in maintaining a robust operation. Facing supply chain delays, inflation, labour shortages, and much more, manufacturers, companies, airlines, and many others have struggled to provide probably what you could argue is the best service available. Some, however, have no doubt struggled more so than others, and that is definitely highlighted through Wizz Air and other customers' frustrations, leading to them having to cut capacity. On to the final topic of today, and that is in relation to Icelandic low-cost Play, which has announced it carried 184,926 passengers during the month of August. This is actually a substantial increase from August 2022, when they only carried just over 100,000. The year-on-year rise equates to a 70% growth. Play further noted that its load factor for the month stood close to 90%, precisely 88.9, which is a 2% increase from 1 year prior as well. Play is heavily committed to growing in markets as well, with 2 letters of intents being signed regarding future fleet. That means 2 brand new A320neos will be due to enter into service in time for the busy summer of 2025. But given that is just under 2 years away, the airline is also exploring ways to add capacity in time for the 2024 season, and says that it will reveal more on this front in due course. Regarding the fleet, though, that is currently in service, Play has 10 aircraft. If we're looking at its most significant fleet type when measured by active units, that is the A320neo, with more than 50% of the fleet accounting for this type. That's going to conclude today's aviation news recap. Thank you so much for your support on these videos. I can't say thank you enough. And like I always say, if you made it this far and have any thoughts on the topics covered in this video, drop them down below in the comments. The beauty of the long-form coverage is there is a lot to discuss, and no doubt someone in the community is probably more than happy to have a chat with you. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.